Praise be our one infinite Creator. We thank you, one infinite Creator, for your love. We thank you, one infinite Creator, for your light. All is one. It is truly an honor to speak with you, my brothers and sisters. I am Robert, if I must have a label. I'll happily take the one as a humble messenger of the law of one. It is truly my privilege, honor, and duty to share with you conscious channeling of LL research. Messages of unity, love, and light from the Confederation in service to our one infinite Creator. Today's question for QO: there is no future, there is no past. All that exists is the present moment. We would like to know of the power of the present moment, the power of the now. How can we gain access to that power? How can we live more and more in the moment? How can we realize that we are creatures of the moment? What does the present moment look like to one that has discovered it? What results can be expected in a seeker who indeed has discovered the present moment? We are those of the principle known to you as QO. And we greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator, in whose service we are happy to be, and in whose service we come to you today. We thank you so much for calling us to your circle of seeking by your desire to seek the truth. It is a great honor for us to be asked for our opinion, and indeed it is our method of service at this time. So it is a great help to us to be able to speak with you, since that is our method of service to others. It is a very precious thing to us, and we shall do our best to share thoughts with you that will be helpful. However, in order for us to be able to speak freely, we would ask of you, as always, that each of you employ your discrimination very carefully in listening to those things which we have to suggest. For we are in every case not those of authority, but those who are, as you, students and seekers of the truth, of that great mystery. We do not know the mystery, but we seek it, as do you, and we are glad to offer our notes from the road, with the understanding that you will take only those things which are fair to you, and leave behind without a second thought anything that does not sound just right. For truly each of you can recognize and resonate with your own personal truth. You ask this evening concerning the present moment, the now, and how it may be discovered, recognized, entered, enjoyed, appreciated, and above all, perhaps, how it may be learned from. In order to speak about this interesting subject, we would begin with some thoughts regarding time itself. The illusion of time is that which allows your experience to occur within your being. Without the illusion of time and space, without the structure that the Creator has builded for your particular body, mind, and spirit to dwell in, you would not be able to process catalysts into experience. You would indeed not have catalysts. You would simply be. This is, in fact, your true state. You are, period. It is not that you are a human, or that you are a soul, or that you are any quality or condition. You are a part of all that is. You are an isness. It is very difficult for us to express this concept through words, but beneath all movement, you already and eternally are. Since that sounds like such a delightful state, one wonders perhaps why the Creator would indeed create a house, such as the universe which you enjoy, which is nothing but an illusion, or a system of illusions that are interpenetrating. The reason is that, about which we were speaking recently, that first distortion of free will. The Creator chooses to know itself, and in order to know itself, it created, with love and with light, a creation in which entities could examine whatever of the material of their essence or isness that they wish to examine, against a backdrop that seemed plausible and solid, so that there would be a believable, self-correcting, consensus reality dream in which all of those within a planetary system, such as yours, could take part and help each other to learn more about that entity which all of you are, or which each of you is. For again, this is difficult to say. While each of you is utterly unique, at the same time, each of you is a part of one energy system, which is the Creator. You are in the process of learning from your inner self with the help of your outer or other selves. The world then may be seen as a dream, as a kingdom, or as a prison. But certainly your physical world, though an illusion, is quite solid, quite substantial, and quite believable. Without time, you would not be able to have the experience of consecutivity. You would not be born, live, and die. Rather, you would exist in a being born, dying, and everything in between state, all in one big soup. The desire of the Creator was that hope of becoming a fuller, more richly realized beingness. There was a dedication of the principle of Godhead to an examination of self, a celebration of self, and a learning about self. Each of you, then, is a spark of that Creator who has chosen at this time to come into this particular environment of what this instrument calls third density, to live in incarnation amongst others of your kind, being mirrors for others, to reflect to them that truth which they offer you. Seeing the mirrors of others that reflect the truth of you back to yourself. And through all of the mazes and mirrors, beginning to come to a competency of understanding regarding the nature of the illusion that allows you, as a spirit who is seeking the truth, to penetrate more and more that which is not of the essence of self, so that more and more you are able to take life lightly, to removing from the self the feeling of prison, and to replace that with the feeling of the dream or the kingdom. There are many ways to lose that feeling of being a slave to time or being imprisoned within time and space. We certainly recommend meditation, as always, but there are many ways to shake the trammels of the noonday thoughts and chores and busynesses in order to lift up from that mental narrowness of thought that does not remember who you are or why you are here. It is very easy to be caught up in the never-ending series of lists, the doing of things on a daily basis, the never-ending mountain of chores to be done and duties to be fulfilled. How easy it is to become completely convinced that these are the building blocks of a complete existence. Yet, in and of themselves, there is no real substance or meaning in these things. There is simply that structure which allows experience. Without further seeking, then, the world may seem a kind of prison where the sentence is life and the eventual sentence is death. One cannot escape the life except by the door of death, and when one escapes by that door, as far as those remaining can see, that entity has become nothing. Dust has returned to dust, and the cycle of life and death is completed. And so, for the first cycle of seeking, shall we say, there is that tendency for the new seeker to begin to feel that life is a dream. There is that realization that the seemingly solid building blocks of chores and Days and seasons are not substantial, and there is a tremendous feeling of relief and freedom, of the lifting up from having to take the work time, the chore time, the time of duties too seriously. Within one of your philosophical distortions, there is that phrase, first there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is. The time of experiencing life as a dream within a dream is that time when there is no mountain. It is a time when suddenly realizations and new information may create tremendous excitement within the self, and a time when the dark night of the soul can plunge one into the abyss of the deepest sorrow and grief. And yet always with the feeling that one is actually a spirit rather than a body, and that one is experiencing a dream, and that nothing is terribly important. It is a precious time in many ways, and much good comes from the seeking that is done during this time. Beyond that time, there comes a time of reintegration. The dream and the prison coming together to form a new picture, which is that of the kingdom, a realm, a magical place. We find that this is where many of you within this circle are attempting to live at this time, and we commend you for having moved along the path of seeking through so many bends and curves and difficulties in the road, that your spiritual maturity has begun to allow you to see the riches of the illusion, the tremendous riches of the environment that has been provided for this school of life that you experience during incarnation. It is a time when the bitterness begins to dissolve. There is no longer anger at having to work for a living, or feed the body, or cleanse the body, or take of the environment that one has chosen. The prison doors open because there is freedom to see the blessing of everything. There is no need to justify suffering and duty and all of the unpleasantnesses of life, because it is finally seen not as that which limits and narrows the light, not as that which may be attended to, but not taken seriously, but that which has been given as a tremendous gift. Each gift, each moment coming fresh from the Creator. This is the time of kingdom. That is the time of Jubilee. And it is truly the first place, shall we say, within the mind from which a point of view may be taken that has great depth, so that you may survive those realizations which shall come when you have become unafraid of the prison and unafraid of the dream. Most entities among your peoples live in a kind of inner life that we would describe as horizontal. The world of things spreads out like the skyline, full of detail. And it is in that which one lives. One drives the streets, one walks the sidewalks, one moves horizontally along the face of the planet. To all illusionary intents and purposes, it is a flat existence. If that horizontal life were called the X-axis, then the world of spirit could be seen as the Y-axis, the vertical life. Imagine standing upon the ground, seeing with the physical eyes that it extends flat in all directions, horizontally as far as the eye can see. The feet meet the ground in just so and so a place. There is contact between the soles of the feet and the ground, and that thin meeting place represents the depth of reality. But imagine suddenly realizing that precisely where the sole of the foot meets the ground is an infinite opening, upwards and downwards, upwards into the world of ideals, guidance, Godhead, downward into the ground of being. It is as though chasms open beneath you and above you, and suddenly you are not standing upon a thin slab of ground, but upon the razor's edge in intersection with eternity and infinity. This is, in fact, your situation. You are in the position of being able to live both a life in space-time, the horizontal life, and a life in time-space, the vertical life, simultaneously. We might say that the ability to remember this image, the ability to remember that which is unseen, that which opens to the Creator and to the essential self, is a measure of how well you are doing with the simple act of remembrance. That is the key in many ways to progressing in spiritual, mental, and physical evolution of self. How to remember that what you see is not all that you get. How to remember the intersection with wonder and magic and infinite possibility. This instrument pursues a daily and weekly spiritual or religious program which includes group worship within that distortion of spirituality called Christian. This is one way in which she attempts to be a creature of remembrance. There are many ways to be remembering who you are and why you are here. This is one way. The simple act of setting aside time, such as you have this day, to seek together. No matter how the meditation goes, no matter how you feel that you have been as a part of a seeking circle, the intention, the dedication of time are the things that create the feeling of remembering and honoring the portion of yourself that is living that vertical life. In moments such as this, as you allow the energy to move around the circle, we feel sure that each of you has that riveted feeling of opening to infinite possibilities of the moment. We would say it is good that a sense of consciousness is learned in the attentiveness to the sacredness of everyday things. Within a sacred space, with altars and pews and vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows, it is easy to feel that one is in a sacred place. Yet every child of dust within the illusion of earth stands on holy ground. Whether they are starving or fed, whether they are cold or clothed, whether they are sick or healthy, no matter what state or condition they may be in, they stand upon holy ground, and they themselves are holy, and you, child of dust, also are infinity, inevitably holy. You are a sacred essence of the divine. I like that, QO. You are a sacred essence of the divine. How may one begin to experience this point of view? In some ways, it becomes a matter of sheer discipline. There is a certain amount of what this instrument would call struggle involved in training the mind to come into a state of remembrance. There is much help which is available to those who wish to become present, and it is indeed a noble task to set for the self to become present. And it is indeed a noble task to set for the self to become present. It is not that one wishes to be without a context. We do not call you away from the world. We do not look down upon any part of the life lived by the ordinary human being. We do not suggest the need for retreat and alternation of the outer circumstances. Certainly, times of quiet are extraordinarily helpful. When there is the sabbatical, when there is the sabbatical, there is the opportunity to take stock, to express the self as a seeking entity rather than as one who must attend the ordinary challenges of making a living and coping with the financial side of life. And yet life, for the most part, is lived in the hurly-burly, in the spotlight of the passion play, as the scene upon the stage revolve. We give this instrument a view of a complete lack of location. Picture, if you will, the sensation of weightlessness, of lack of input into any of the senses. Lifted from the constant contact with the senses, one is left within a kingdom which is within. Within that inner kingdom of self lies the truth and a great deal of distortion. Where did this distortion come from? An entity is born into incarnation with certain preconceived distortions already. Each of you has chosen a personality shell that is rich in gifts and in challenges. Each of you has scripted for yourself incarnational lessons which will occur thematically, repetitively during the incarnation, teaching you the lessons that you have chosen and offering you the opportunities of service which you have hoped for. In this inner life, no mirrors exist, and it is exponentially more difficult to see the self clearly than when one is receiving information from the mirrors around one. So, while we value time spent in a completely inner search, we feel that the more effective path in terms of the rapidness with which evolution may occur is an environment in which the inner life and the outer life marry. Rather than fighting and dividing inner life from outer life and struggling to get more inner life, we would suggest every way which you may think of personally to stamp the outer with the inner and to relate the inner into the outer, making every connection that you can, so that all of experience becomes one, and the physical and the metaphysical become a dance for two that carries both the male and the female aspect of living within one consciousness. By male and female aspects of living, we are, in our distortion, suggesting that the outer or horizontal life is masculine, or yang, as this instrument would say, in its activity, its reaching, its power to do. Whereas that inner vertical life is as the potentiator, that which awaits the reaching, that which does not have the form, but which is productive of all form, that which may be called guidance or inspiration or infinity or eternity. To allow the infinite and the eternal to become a part of the passing scene, and to allow the passing scene to become stamped with infinity and eternity, is to make that marriage within the life of those aspects which otherwise might fight for dominance. We assure you it is not at all easy to do this. It is much easier to compartmentalize and to do the spiritual practice and to move into the daily mode and then back into a spiritual practice and back into a daily mode. Yet we may say the fewer transitions that you must choose to make, the more often that you are able to blend the inner and the outer being, the more substantial will be your stance. And your point of view will benefit from this unification of inner and outer living. What is the essence of you? That is the question, you see, and the answer is so simple. You are. You are not creating yourself. You are simply discovering the self that is there. You do not choose from nothing. You came into this incarnation a very real citizen of eternity. You came into this incarnation a very real citizen of eternity. You are simply peeling away layers of distortion to see yourself clearer and clearer, to have a deeper and deeper sense of your own essence. It is a fascinating journey, and we are so glad to have you as companions upon it. This instrument is informing us that we have spoken long enough upon this most fascinating subject, and we bow to her wisdom. We confess that in this particular case, we could go on talking for quite a while, for this is a beautiful subject, and we thank you for asking about it. We are those of QO. It has been enormously pleasurable to us to speak to you. We find the beauty of your seeking most delightful, and we thank each of you for that beauty that you share with us so freely. The energy exchange has been most salubrious for us. We leave you in peace. We leave you empowered with hope, with the awareness of your own magical natures. We leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator and of each other. We are those of QO. Adone, my friends, Adone.